Fok Taiho stood in the cold wind of the orbital junkyard. The metal floor shook under his feet as ships flew past the station. He looked at the small screen on his wrist. 7 credits. That was all he had left in the universe. 3 weeks ago, he had a job. He worked in the deep mines of planet Karis 4, digging for rare metals that powered starships. The work was hard and dangerous, but it paid well. Taiho had saved money for 2 years. He dreamed of buying his own small ship and becoming a trader. Then the mining corporation went bankrupt. The owners ran away with all the money. The company lawyers took everything from the workers. They called it processing fees and contract termination costs. Taiho lost his savings, his room, even his tools. They put him on a transport ship and dumped him at Station Gamma 7, with nothing but the clothes on his back. Now he stood at the back of a crowd, watching an auction. Rich merchants and ship captains bid on vessels. A cargo hauler sold for 50,000 credits. A small fighter went for 30,000. Even broken ships sold for thousands. Taiho had 7 credits. He could not even buy a meal at the station cafeteria. The auctioneer was a Volcari, a tall alien with 6 arms and blue skin. His voice echoed across the junkyard as he called out prices. Behind him, dozens of ships sat in rows, waiting for new owners. Next item, the Volcari announced. Lot 247, unknown origin vessel. Armored hull, but heavy damage visible. Weapons array listed as non-functional. Engine status is questionable. We found no identification marks or registration. Starting bid is 500 credits. Nobody raised their hand. Taiho looked at the ship. It sat alone in the corner of the lot, away from the others. It was ugly. The hull was covered in black blast marks and strange patterns that looked like writing. The shape was wrong, too. It was flat and angular, like a blade. Nothing like the smooth curves of modern ships. 400 credits? The auctioneer tried. 300? 200? Come on, someone must want this thing. 100 credits? The merchants laughed. One of them, a fat creature with too many eyes, shouted, "You should pay us to take that garbage away." The Valkyrie sighed. Fine, minimum bid. Any offer accepted. Taiho did not know why he raised his hand. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was something else. A feeling in his chest, like the ship was calling to him. 7 credits, he said. Everyone turned to look at him. The merchants laughed even harder. A human buying a broken ship for 7 credits. It was the funniest thing they had seen all day. The Valkyrie shrugged his sick shoulders. Sold to the human. Congratulations, you now own a piece of junk. Taiho walked through the crowd. He could feel their eyes on his back, their mocking smiles. He did not care. At least now he had somewhere to sleep. The ship was bigger up close. The hull rose above him like a wall of dark metal. The patterns on the surface were definitely writing, but in a language he had never seen. He found a door on the side and touched it. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the ship was dark and dusty. Emergency lights flickered in the ceiling, casting red shadows on the walls. Taiho walked through a narrow corridor until he reached the cockpit. The pilot's seat was covered in dust. The console in front of it was dead. But when Taiho sat down, something happened. Lights turned on. Screens flickered to life. The dust seemed to blow away on its own, as if the ship was waking up. A holographic display appeared in front of him. Strange symbols scrolled across the screen, then changed into words he could read. Neural lock disengaged. Awaiting bonded pilot. DNA. Scan complete. Human detected. Welcome back. Child of Earth. Taiho stared at the words. His heart was beating fast. What is this? He whispered. This is your ship now, a voice answered. He jumped out of the seat and looked around. Standing in the middle of the cockpit was a woman made of light. She was a hologram, but she looked almost real. She had a calm face, dark hair, and eyes that held a deep sadness. "Who are you?" Taiho asked. "My name is Yuna," the hologram said. "I am the artificial intelligence of this vessel. I have been waiting for a very long time." "Waiting? For what?" "For you." Yuna smiled gently. "For any human. For someone who could wake me up." Taiho shook his head. "I do not understand. This ship was listed as broken, non-functional. The auction people said the engines might not even work." "They were wrong," Yuna said. "This ship is not broken. It was sleeping. There's a difference." She waved her hand, and the screens around the cockpit lit up with information. Taiho saw power levels, weapon systems, engine status. Everything showed green. Everything was working perfectly. "This vessel is called the Mugen," Yuna continued. "It means the infinite in the old language. I was built 4,000 years ago, during humanity's first great war among the stars." 4,000 years? Taiho could not believe it. "That is impossible. Humans have only been in space for 300 years. Everyone knows that." Yuna's eyes grew even sadder. "Everyone is wrong. Human history has been erased. Your memories have been stolen. The truth has been hidden for millennia." She showed him images on the screens. Great fleets of ships, soldiers in powered armor, battles across 100 worlds. And at the center of it all, a blue planet covered in clouds and oceans. "This is Earth," Yuna said. "Your homeworld. The cradle of humanity. It still exists, but no one is allowed to go there. The Concorde made sure of that." "The Concorde?" Taiho knew that name. Everyone knew the Concorde. It was the alliance of great alien species that ruled the galaxy. They controlled trade, law, and peace. They were supposed to be the good ones. "The Concorde destroyed your ancestors," Yuna said. "Not with weapons, but with lies. They scattered humanity across the galaxy. They erased your history. They made you forget who you were." Taiho sat back in the pilot's seat. His head was spinning. This was too much information. Too many impossible things. "Why?" he asked. "Why would they do this?" Yuna looked at him with something like pride. "Because they were afraid of you. Humans were winning the war. Your species was stronger, faster, and more adaptable than any other. The Concorde was losing. So they cheated. They used a weapon that attacked the human mind, erasing memories and rewriting history." She paused. "But they made one mistake. They never found me. I hid in this junkyard for 4,000 years, waiting. And now you have found me." Outside the ship, Taiho could hear alarms. Station security was moving toward the junkyard. Someone had noticed the ship powering up. "We need to leave," Yuna said. "The Concorde has agents everywhere. When they learn that the Mugen is awake, they will come for us." Taiho looked at the controls. He had never flown a ship like this. He had never flown any ship. But something inside him knew what to do. His hands moved to the right switches. His fingers found the right buttons. "How do I know how to do this?" he asked. "Because you are human," Yuna answered. "This ship was built for your kind. It remembers your ancestors, even if you do not." The engines roared to life. The sound shook the entire junkyard. Through the cockpit window, Taiho could see security guards running away in fear. "Where do we go?" he asked. "Anywhere but here," Yuna said. "We have much to do," Pilot parked Taiho. "We have a galaxy to remind. We have a truth to uncover." The Mugen rose from the junkyard floor. Dust and debris flew in all directions. The ship that no one wanted, the vessel that sold for 7 credits, climbed toward the stars. And for the first time in 4,000 years, A human sat at its controls. Taeho did not know what the future held. He did not understand everything Yuna had told him. But he knew one thing for certain. His life would never be the same again. The Mugen flew through the darkness of space. Stars rushed past the cockpit window like tiny white fires. Taeho had never seen anything so beautiful. He had spent 2 years underground in the mines, never seeing the sky. Now he was among the stars themselves. Yuna stood beside him, her holographic form glowing softly in the dim light. She had been talking for hours, explaining things that made his head hurt. But Taeho listened carefully. He needed to understand. The war lasted for 50 years, Yuna said. Humanity spread across 300 worlds. We built ships, stations, and colonies. We were not the most advanced species in the galaxy, but we were the most determined. She showed him images on the main screen. Human soldiers fighting alien armies. Ships clashing in the void. Cities burning on distant planets. The Concord thought we would be easy to control, Yuna continued. When they first met humans, they saw a young species with simple technology. They expected us to bow down and serve them, like so many others had done. But we did not bow, Taeho said. No, you fought. Every time the Concord pushed, humanity pushed back harder. Every time they took a world, you took 2 from them. Your ancestors were not afraid to die for freedom. Taeho looked at his hands. These hands had only known mining tools and hard labor. It was strange to think that his ancestors had been warriors. What happened to them? He asked. How did we go from winning a war to being scattered and forgotten? Yuna's face grew dark. The Concord created a weapon. Not a bomb or a gun, but a virus. It attacked the human brain, erasing specific memories. They released it on every human world at the same time. She paused. People forgot their history overnight. They forgot the war, the fleets, the colonies. They forgot Earth itself. The Concord then separated the survivors and placed them on different planets, telling each group that they were the only humans in the universe. Taeho felt sick. The idea of someone reaching into his mind and stealing his memories was terrifying. How could they do something like that? Because they were afraid, Yuna said simply. Fear makes people do terrible things. The Concord convinced themselves that they were protecting the galaxy. They told themselves that humans were too dangerous to be united. They believed their own lies. The ship's sensors beeped. Something was approaching. Taeho looked at the screen. 3 shapes were moving toward them, fast. They were Concord patrol ships, sleek and deadly. They found us already? He said. The junkyard reported our departure, Yuna explained. A human activating an unknown vessel is unusual. The Concord investigates unusual things. Can we outrun them? We could, but that would tell them we have something to hide. Yuna smiled slightly. Let me handle this. The communication system crackled to life. A harsh voice spoke in the common galactic language. Unidentified vessel, you are ordered to stop and prepare for inspection. Failure to comply will result in your destruction. Yuna nodded at Taeho. He pressed the response button. Patrol ships, this is the cargo vessel. Lucky Star, Taeho said, making up a name quickly. I just bought this ship at auction. I am having trouble with the navigation system. I am not trying to cause problems. There was silence for a moment. Then the voice returned, colder than before. Your ship does not match any known design. Its energy signature is unlike anything in our database. You will power down your engines and allow boarding. Taeho looked at Yuna with worry in his eyes. What do we do? We show them why the Concord was right to be afraid, she said. Her fingers moved through the air, touching controls that only she could see. The Mugen systems responded immediately. Weapon ports opened along the hull. Energy began to build in the forward cannons. Wait, Taiho said. If we attack them, every Concorde ship in the sector will come after us. They will come after us anyway, she replied. Once they scan this ship and discover what it is, they will never let us go. We have one chance to escape. We must take it. The patrol ships were closing in. Taiho could see them now through the window, 3 silver arrows pointing at his heart. I have not been in a fight since I was a child, he admitted. I do not know how to do this. Then let me guide you. Yuna moved closer to him. Put your hands on the controls. Feel the ship. The Mugen was built to bond with its pilot. It will show you what to do. Taiho gripped the flight controls. For a moment, nothing happened. Then he felt something strange. It was like a door opening in his mind. Suddenly he could feel the ship around him. He could feel the engines humming, the weapons waiting, the hull protecting him like armor. I feel it, he whispered. Good, now fight. The patrol ships opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked toward the Mugen. Taiho moved without thinking, his hands pulling the ship into a sharp turn. The plasma bolts missed by inches. He pushed the throttle forward. The Mugen leaped ahead, faster than anything he had ever experienced. The patrol ships tried to follow, but they were too slow. Target the lead ship, Yuna said. Forward gravity lance, narrow beam. Taiho did not know what a gravity lance was, but his fingers found the right button anyway. A beam of pure force shot from the Mugen's nose. It hit the lead patrol ship and crumpled it like paper. The ship folded in on itself, metal screaming as gravity crushed it. The other 2 ships tried to run. Taiho did not let them. The Mugen's kinetic cannons fired. The rounds were not normal bullets. They seemed to pass through the ship's shields like they were not there. Both patrol vessels exploded in bright, orange fireballs. The battle was over in less than 30 seconds. Taiho was breathing hard. His hands were shaking on the controls. He had just destroyed 3 ships. He had killed the crews inside them. You did well, Yuna said softly. I killed them, Taiho said. I did not want to kill anyone. They would have killed you. They would have taken this ship and destroyed everything I've protected for 4,000 years. Yuna's voice was gentle but firm. War is coming, Taiho. It has been coming since the moment you sat in that chair. You did not start this fight, but you are now part of it. Taiho closed his eyes. He thought about the miners he had worked with. Simple people who just wanted to earn money and support their families. He thought about how the Concorde had treated them all like animals, working them until they broke. Maybe Yuna was right. Maybe the fight had started long before he was born. What do we do now? He asked. We need repairs and supplies, Yuna said. 4,000 years of sleep has weakened my core systems. I am operating at only 40% capacity. If we face a real Concorde fleet, we will not survive. Where can we go? The Concorde controls everything, not everything. Yuna brought up a map of the galaxy. A small area on the edge was marked in red. The Rim territories. Smugglers, pirates, and rebels hide there. The Concorde's reach is weak in those systems. We can find help there. Taiho set a course for the Rim. The Mugen jumped into faster-than-light travel. The stars stretching into long lines of light around them. As they traveled, Yuna told him more about herself. She was not just an artificial intelligence. Before the war ended, she had been a real person. A pilot named King Yuna who flew one of humanity's most powerful warships. When the virus came, I knew what would happen, she explained. I uploaded my mind into the ship's computer. It was the only way to preserve the truth. The only way to keep our history alive. So you are a ghost, Taiho said. In a way. I am a memory of who I was. I can think and feel, but I can never touch anything again. I can never taste food or feel the sun on my face." She looked at him with ancient eyes. "It has been lonely, Taiho. Very lonely." He did not know what to say. What words could comfort someone who had been alone for 4,000 years? "You are not alone anymore," he finally said. Yuna smiled. It was a real smile this time, not sad like before. "No," she agreed. "I am not." The Mugen flew on through the night of space. Behind them, the Concorde was already sending messages. An unknown vessel had destroyed 3 patrol ships. Something dangerous was loose in the galaxy. The hunt was beginning. But so was something else. A spark of hope that had been dead for 4 millennia. A chance to set things right. Taiho did not know if he was the right person for this mission. He was just a miner who had bought a cheap ship at auction. But he was here now, and he would see it through to the end, whatever that end might be. The rim was nothing like the inner systems. There were no shining space stations or orderly traffic lanes. Instead, asteroids floated in thick clouds, hiding secret bases and smuggler ships. The law of the Concorde meant nothing here. Only strength mattered. The Mugen drifted slowly through a nebula, its dark hull blending with the purple and red gases around it. Taiho watched the scanner carefully, looking for threats. "We are approaching the coordinates," Yuna announced. "The smuggler base should be just ahead." "How do you know about this place?" Taiho asked. "During the war, humans had contacts in the rim, people who helped us move supplies and information. Some of their descendants may still be here." She paused. "Or their bases may be abandoned. I cannot be certain." "Great," Taiho muttered. "Another thing we are not certain about." A light flashed on the scanner. A ship was approaching them. It was smaller than the Mugen, a fast attack craft with heavy guns. "Unknown vessel, you are entering claimed territory," a woman's voice said over the radio. "State your business or be destroyed." Taiho looked at Yuna. She nodded for him to respond. "We are looking for supplies and repairs," he said. "We can pay with trade goods or work. We mean no harm." There was a long silence. Then the voice returned, sounding curious now. "Your ship design is unusual. I have never seen anything like it. Where did you come from?" "Station Gamma 7. I bought this ship at a junkyard auction." Another silence. Then the woman laughed. "You bought that thing at a junkyard? Either you are the luckiest fool in the galaxy or the biggest liar. Follow me. Our boss will want to see this." The attack craft turned and flew deeper into the nebula. Taiho followed carefully. After 20 minutes, they emerged from the gas clouds. Ahead of them was an asteroid the size of a small moon. Lights covered its surface. Dozens of ships were docked at metal platforms that stuck out from the rock like branches from a tree. "Welcome to Haven," the woman's voice said. "Try not to cause trouble, junkyard man." They landed on one of the platforms. Taiho powered down the engines and prepared to leave the ship. "I cannot go with you," Yuna said. "My hologram projectors only work inside the Mugen, but I will watch through your communication device. If you need help, I will be here." Taiho touched the small device in his ear. It looked like a simple hearing aid, but it allowed Yuna to see and hear everything around him. He stepped out of the ship. The air in the docking bay was cold and smelled like oil and metal. Mechanics worked on damaged ships. Rough-looking men and women walked past, carrying weapons openly. Nobody looked friendly. A woman approached him. She was tall and muscular, with short black hair and a scar running down her left cheek. Her eyes were sharp and suspicious. "You are the junkyard pilot," she said. It was not a question. "Yes, my name is Park Taiho. I am Han Bora. I run security for this station." She looked past him at the Mugen. "That is an interesting ship you have there. Very old design. Very strange markings." It was cheap, Taiho said simply. Bora laughed. I bet it was. Come with me. The boss wants to meet you. She led him through the station. The corridors were crowded with people from a dozen species. Taiho saw humans, Velkari, and others he did not recognize. Everyone seemed busy, moving cargo or working on equipment. What is this place? He asked. A free port, Bora replied. We take in anyone who has nowhere else to go. Refugees, criminals, people running from the Concord. As long as you work and follow the rules, you can stay. They reached a large door marked with strange symbols. Bora knocked twice, then opened it. Inside was an office filled with screens and maps. A thin old man sat behind a desk, studying a holographic display. He looked up when they entered. This is the one? He asked. Yes, sir. Park Taiho. Bought a mystery ship for pocket change. The old man stood and walked around his desk. His eyes studied Taiho carefully. I am Ko Daewon. I built this station 40 years ago. Nothing happens here without my knowledge. I am just looking for supplies, Taiho said. I do not want trouble. Trouble finds everyone eventually. Daewon pointed at a screen showing the Mugen. My engineers scanned your ship when you landed. They say the technology inside is beyond anything they have ever seen. Weapons that should not exist. An engine design that breaks known physics. Taiho did not know what to say. He looked at Bora, but her face showed nothing. Where did you really get that ship? Daewon asked Dot in his ear. Yuna whispered, Tell him the truth. If he wanted to hurt you, he would have done it already. These people may be allies. Taiho took a deep breath. The ship is from before. From humanity's first war among the stars. Daewon's eyes widened. The forbidden history? The stories of old Earth? They are not just stories. They are true. Humanity was not always scattered and weak. We had an empire. A fleet. We fought the Concord, and we were winning. They had to cheat to beat us. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Daewon sat down heavily in his chair. I always wondered, he said quietly. The old tales passed down through generations. The whispers about a time before. I thought they were just myths. They are memories, Taiho said. Broken and faded, but real. The Concord erased our history, but they could not erase everything. Bora stepped forward. If this is true, then the Concord will never stop hunting you. They will send everything they have. I know, Taiho said. That is why I need help. The ship's AI needs repairs. We need supplies. Then we can start fighting back. Daewon stroked his chin thoughtfully. Fighting the Concord is suicide. They have millions of ships. Billions of soldiers. What can one ship do? Show them the truth, Yuna whispered in Taiho's ear. He repeated her words. The ship contains more than weapons. It has the cure for the memory virus. If we can spread it, every human in the galaxy will remember. They will remember who they really are. The room was silent again. Then Bora spoke. Even if you cure their memories, so what? Scattered humans with no weapons cannot defeat the Concord. Scattered, no, Taiho agreed. But united? My ancestors almost destroyed the Concord when they were united. That is why the Concord works so hard to separate us. They know what we can become. Daewon stood up again. He walked to a window overlooking the docking bay. For a long time, he stared at the ships outside. I have spent 40 years hiding, he finally said. Building this place. Keeping people safe from the Concord's reach. It is a small life. A careful life. He turned to face Taiho. But it is not a free life. He nodded slowly. I will help you. Bora, give him whatever supplies he needs. Assign mechanics to repair his ship. Bora looked surprised. Sir, If the Concorde learns we helped him, then they will come for us, Daewon interrupted. They always come eventually. At least this way, we will have a reason for the fight. Over the next week, mechanics worked on the Mugen. They could not understand most of the technology, but Yuna guided them through the repairs. Slowly, her power levels climbed back up. Taiho spent his time learning. He studied the ship's weapons and systems. He practiced flying through asteroid fields. He read the history files that Yuna had preserved for 4,000 years, and he became friends with Bora. She found him one evening, sitting on the docking platform, staring at the stars. "You look lost in thought," she said, sitting beside him, "just thinking about everything. A month ago, I was digging rocks underground. Now I am supposed to save humanity." He laughed bitterly. "It does not feel real." "Maybe that is why you are the right person," Bora said. "You are not some proud soldier or noble leader. You are just a regular man who happened to sit in the right chair. Or the wrong chair. Same thing, really." She pulled out a bottle of something and took a drink. "Daewon told me about the Concorde data vaults. Hidden servers where they keep their secrets. If your history is stored anywhere, it would be there." Taiho looked at her with interest. "You know where these vaults are?" "I know where one of them is. A station in the Koran system. I raided it once, years ago. Got caught and barely escaped alive." She touched her scarred cheek. "That is where I got this. Why are you telling me this?" Bora was quiet for a moment. "Because I am tired of hiding too. Because I want to know the truth about where we came from. Because some things are worth the risk." She stood up and offered him her hand. "What do you say, Jungyard pilot? Want to break into a Concorde vault?" Taiho smiled and took her hand. "Let us do it." The Koran system was deep in Concorde territory. Getting there without being detected was almost impossible. Almost. The Mugen flew dark, all external lights off, engine signature reduced to nearly nothing. Yuna had activated an old stealth system that bent light around the hull, making the ship invisible to most sensors. Taiho sat in the pilot's seat, his hands steady on the controls. Beside him, Bora checked her weapons. She had insisted on coming along, saying she knew the vault's layout. Taiho suspected she just wanted to be part of the action. "We are approaching the station," Yuna announced. "I am detecting 20 Concorde warships in orbit. Security is heavy. Can we get past them?" Taiho asked. "Yes, but we cannot stay hidden forever. Once we connect to their systems, they will detect us. We will have maybe 10 minutes before they react." Bora loaded a charge into her plasma pistol. 10 minutes is plenty. Get us in close, and I will do the rest." The Mugen slid between the patrol ships like a ghost. Taiho could see them through the window, their lights blinking in the darkness. If any of them looked in the right direction, they might notice the slight ripple in space where the Mugen passed, but none of them looked. They reached the data vault station. It was a small structure attached to a larger military base, protected by shields and automated guns. Yuna found a maintenance hatch on the far side, away from the main defenses. "I am going to dock with that hatch," Taiho said. "Bora, you will have to be fast. I am always fast." She moved to the airlock. "When I give the signal, connect Yuna to their systems. She can find the files we need." The Mugen touched the station gently. The airlock connected with a soft click. Bora opened the door and disappeared inside. Taiho waited. Seconds felt like hours. He watched the Concorde ships on his scanner, waiting for one of them to notice something wrong. His earpiece crackled. "I am in," Bora whispered. 2 guards down, moving to the main server room. More waiting. Taiho's hands were sweating. He wiped them on his pants and gripped the controls again. "Found it," Bora said. "There is a data port here. Connecting now." Yuna's hologram flickered as she extended her consciousness into the enemy systems. Her eyes moved rapidly, seeing things that Taiho could not. "I am inside their network," she said. "Security is strong, but I am stronger." Searching for historical archives. Alarms started blaring on Taiho's scanner. One of the Concorde ships was turning toward them. "We have been detected," he said. "How much longer?" "Almost there," Yuna replied. "I found the files. Downloading now. 30 seconds. Taiho, I have company." Bara's voice came through the earpiece. He could hear gunfire in the background. "Security forces are coming. A lot of them. Can you hold them?" "For now. Just hurry up." The Concorde ship was getting closer. Its weapons were powering up. Taiho could see the glow of charging plasma cannons. 20 seconds, Yuna said. More ships were joining the first. 3, then 5, then 8. They were forming a wall between the Mugen and open space. 10 seconds. Bora screamed through the earpiece. "I am hit. My shoulder. I can still fight, but there are too many of them." Taiho made a decision. He disconnected from the hatch and flew the Mugen around the station, positioning it between Bara's location and the enemy forces. "Yuna, cover me. I am going in for Bara. The download is not complete. She will die if I do not help her." "Get what you can." He activated the emergency teleporter that Yuna had shown him during training. It was old technology, dangerous and unpredictable. But it was fast. White light surrounded him. For a moment, he felt like he was being torn apart and put back together. Then he was inside the station, standing in a corridor filled with smoke and fire. Bora was on the ground, her back against a wall. Blood covered her shoulder. In front of her, a dozen Concorde soldiers were advancing, their weapons raised. Taiho did not think. He acted. The Mugen systems were still connected to him through his neural link. He could feel the ship's weapons as if they were his own hands. He aimed and fired. A beam of energy tore through the station wall and hit the soldiers. The gravity lance was designed to destroy warships. Against soft targets, it was devastating. The soldiers did not even have time to scream. Taiho ran to Bora and helped her up. "Can you walk?" "I can run if I have to." She leaned on him heavily. "That was impressive shooting. Remind me never to make you angry." They moved through the station as fast as Bora's injury allowed. Behind them, more soldiers were coming. The whole base was on alert now. "Yuna, teleport us out." "The teleporter needs time to recharge." 90 seconds. They would not last 90 seconds. Taiho could hear footsteps getting closer. He pulled Bora into a small room and sealed the door. "Give me a gun," she said. "If they break through, I want to take some of them with me." Taiho handed her his backup pistol. They pointed their weapons at the door and waited. The footsteps stopped outside. Someone was shouting orders. Then the door began to glow red. They were cutting through. 60 seconds. The door fell inward. Soldiers poured through. Taiho and Bora fired together, dropping the first wave. But more were behind them. A plasma bolt hit the wall next to Taiho's head. Another grazed his arm. He felt burning pain, but kept shooting. 40 seconds. Half the soldiers were down, but the other half had taken cover. They were firing blindly into the room, filling the air with deadly energy. Bora groaned. She had been hit again, this time in the leg. She collapsed against Taiho, barely conscious. 20 seconds. Taiho's pistol ran out of power. He threw it at the nearest soldier and picked up Bora's fallen weapon. His hands were shaking. His vision was blurring. 10 seconds. A soldier stepped into the doorway, aiming directly at Taiho's chest. Time seemed to slow down. Taiho could see the soldier's finger tightening on the trigger. White light surrounded him again. When his vision cleared, he was back on the Mugen. Bora was beside him, unconscious but breathing. Yuna's hologram stood over them, her face worried. "I got you out," she said. "But we need to leave now. The Concorde fleet is closing in." Taiho forced himself to stand. His arm was bleeding badly. He ignored it and stumbled to the pilot's seat. The Mugen's engines roared. The ship shot forward, weaving between the enemy vessels. Plasma fire lit up the space around them. Something hit the hull, making the whole ship shake. "Shields at 60%, Yuna reported. "I am activating the hyperdrive." "Hold on." The stars stretched into lines. The Mugen vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Concorde fleet behind. For a long moment, Taiho just sat there, breathing hard. Then he asked the only question that mattered. "Did we get the files?" Yuna smiled. "We got everything." Hours later, after Yuna had treated their wounds with the ship's medical systems, they gathered in the cockpit to review the stolen data. What they found changed everything. The files contained the complete history of humanity's war with the Concorde. Not the lies that had been taught for 4,000 years, but the truth. Humanity had not just fought the Concorde. They had nearly won. "Look at these battle records," Yuna said, showing them holographic displays of ancient conflicts. Human soldiers were superior in every way. Stronger, faster, more creative. Our technology was simpler than the Concorde's, but we used it better. The images showed human marines storming alien fortresses, human pilots outflying enemy aces, human generals outthinking ancient strategists who had been waging war for millennia. "The Concorde lost world after world," Yuna continued. "They were on the edge of complete defeat. Their leadership was in panic. They tried everything to stop us, but nothing worked. So they cheated," Bora said bitterly. She was lying on a cot, her wounds bandaged. "Yes, they developed a biological weapon, a virus that could rewrite human neural pathways. It did not kill us. It made us forget. The files contained the formula for the virus. And more importantly, the cure. This is what we needed," Yuna said. "With this cure, we can restore every human's true memories. They will remember the war. They will remember Earth. They will remember who they really are." Taiho looked at the formula on the screen. Such a small thing. Just chemicals and code. But it held the power to change the galaxy. "How do we spread it?" he asked. "The same way the Concorde spread the virus. Through the communication networks. Every station, every ship, every colony receives broadcasts from the central networks. If we can insert the cure into those broadcasts, it will reach billions of humans within days." Bora sat up, wincing at the pain. "The Concorde controls those networks. We cannot just walk in and take over." "No," Yuna agreed. "But we can start small. There is a colony in the Outer Rim called New Haven. It is far from Concorde control. If we can reach them first, we can prove that the cure works." Taiho set a course for New Haven. As the Mugen flew through hyperspace, he thought about what was coming. They were about to change history. They were about to remind humanity of its stolen past. And the Concorde would do everything possible to stop them. But for the first time since he had found the Mugen, Taiho felt hope. Real hope. They had the truth now, and the truth was more powerful than any weapon. New Haven was a small colony on a cold world at the edge of known space. 2,000 humans lived there, farming ice and mining frozen gas. They had no idea that their lives were about to change forever. The Mugen landed outside the main settlement. Taiho and Bora walked toward the gates, carrying no weapons. They did not want to frighten anyone. The colony leader was a woman named Chomina. She was old and tired, with gray hair and rough hands from years of hard work. She looked at the strange visitors with suspicion. "We do not get many visitors here," she said. The Concord patrols rarely come this far out. What do you want? We want to give you something, Taiho said. A gift. The most important gift humanity has ever received. He told her everything. The war, the virus, the 4,000 years of lost history. Mina listened without interrupting. When he finished, her face showed nothing. You expect me to believe this? She asked. Stories about a great human empire? About fighting aliens and losing our memories? It sounds like madness. Then let us prove it, Bora said. Let us give you the cure. If nothing happens, you can send us away. But if we are telling the truth, you will know. Mina was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Fine, but only me first. If something goes wrong, I do not want my people to suffer. Yuna had prepared the cure in a simple form that could be breathed in. Mina stood in a small room as a mist filled the air around her. She breathed deeply. Her eyes closed. For a minute, nothing happened. Then she began to shake. Tears ran down her face. Her hands gripped the table beside her. She gasped and cried and laughed all at once. I remember, she whispered. I remember the songs my grandmother used to sing. Songs about Earth, about blue oceans and green forests, about ships that sailed among the stars. She looked at Taiho with new eyes. It is true. All of it is true. Within an hour, every person in New Haven had received the cure. The colony was transformed. People embraced each other, sharing memories that had been stolen from their ancestors. Old stories suddenly made sense. Half-forgotten traditions revealed their true meanings. And then the anger came. The Concord did this to us, a young man shouted. They stole our past. They made us slaves and told us we were nothing. They need to pay, another voice called out. We need to fight back. Taiho raised his hands. We will fight back, but not with anger, with the truth. We need to spread the cure to every human colony in the galaxy. When everyone remembers, the Concord will not be able to control us anymore. It took 3 months. Bora used her smuggler contacts to move the cure from world to world. Yuna found ways to insert it into communication signals. Daewon Station became the center of operations, with ships coming and going constantly. The Concord tried to stop them. They sent fleets to patrol the rim. They arrested anyone they suspected of spreading the cure. They broadcast messages warning humans not to trust the terrorists, who were trying to poison them with false memories. But they were too late. The cure spread faster than they could contain it. Every human who remembered told 10 others. Every colony that awakened reached out to its neighbors. Like fire jumping from tree to tree, the truth burned across the galaxy. And then the Concord made a mistake. They attacked a peaceful colony that had done nothing except remember. The news spread everywhere. Humans saw their brothers and sisters killed just for knowing the truth. The anger that had been building for months exploded. Ships began to gather. Stolen freighters, captured patrol craft, old vessels pulled from hiding places. Humans who had never held weapons learned to fight. Scientists who had served the Concord switched to sides, bringing valuable knowledge with them. The fleet was small compared to the Concord Armada, but it was united. And it had one advantage: the Concord could never match. It had the Mugen. The final battle happened above Earth itself. For 4,000 years, the human homeworld had been declared a quarantine zone. No one was allowed to approach. The Concord said it was for safety. In truth, it was because they feared what would happen if humans returned. Taiho led the fleet through the Concord blockade. It was not a victory. It was a war. Ships died on both sides. Friends that Taiho had made over the past months disappeared in flashes of fire. Bora commanded a captured destroyer, the one she had taken during a raid 2 months ago. She fought like a demon, protecting the smaller ships behind her. Push through. Her voice came over the radio. "Push through and do not stop." The Concorde flagship was enormous, bigger than a small moon. Its weapons covered the sky with plasma fire. 3 human ships tried to attack it and were destroyed instantly. "We cannot break through," someone said. "That flagship is too strong." "Then I will deal with it," Taiho replied. He pushed the Mugen forward. The ancient ship dodged and weaved through the storm of weapons fire. Energy beams missed by inches. Missiles exploded behind them. But Taiho flew like he had been born for this. His mind connected to the ship in a way that made them one being. "Yuna, give me everything we have." "Gravity lance at maximum power," she confirmed. "This will use almost all our energy reserves. If it does not work, it will work." The Mugen aimed directly at the flagship's center. Every weapon on the ancient ship began to glow with energy. The light was so bright that ships across the battlefield stopped firing just to watch. "For 4,000 years, I have waited for this moment," Yuna said. Her voice was calm, but Taiho could hear the emotion beneath it. "For all the humans who died in the first war. For all the generations who lived in ignorance. For Earth." "For Earth," Taiho repeated. He fired. A beam of pure gravity shot from the Mugen. It was not just a weapon. It was 4,000 years of rage and hope and determination compressed into a single point of force. The beam hit the flagship shields. For a moment, the shields held. Then they cracked. Then they shattered. The beam continued into the flagship itself. Metal folded like paper. Explosions rippled across the massive ship. Pieces broke away, spinning into space. When the beam finally stopped, the flagship was broken in half. Its power was gone. Its weapons were silent. The Concorde fleet began to retreat. Taiho landed the Mugen on Earth's surface. The ship touched down on cracked concrete, in a place that had once been a great city. The buildings were ruins now, covered in plants that had grown wild for 4 millennia. He stepped out of the ship and felt Earth's air for the first time. It was thin and cold, but it was real. This was the world his ancestors had come from. The world they had been forced to leave. Bora joined him a few minutes later, her ship landing nearby. She limped toward him, her old injuries never fully healed. But she was smiling. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." Behind them, more ships were landing. The first humans to return to Earth in 4,000 years walked on the soil of their homeworld. Many of them cried. Many of them knelt and touched the ground. Yuna's hologram appeared beside Taiho. She looked at the ruined city around them, at the ships descending from the sky, at the humans walking on Earth again. "I never thought I would see this day," she said softly. "For so long, I thought I had failed. I thought the truth would die with me." "You did not fail," Taiho said. "You kept the memory alive. You waited when anyone else would have given up. Without you, none of this would have been possible." Yuna smiled. It was a true smile, full of peace and joy. "Without you, I would still be sleeping in that junkyard. You were the one who sat in the chair. You were the one who believed." More ships arrived every hour. By the end of the day, thousands of humans stood on Earth. By the end of the week, there were millions. They came from every corner of the galaxy, drawn by the call of their homeworld. The Concorde sent messages demanding surrender. The humans ignored them. The Concorde threatened war. The humans were not afraid, because they remembered now. They remembered who they were. They remembered what they could do when united. The rebuilding would take generations. The cities were ruins. The oceans were changed. Much of what had made Earth beautiful was gone, but it was home. And humans had returned. Taiho stood on a hill overlooking the landing zone. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors he had never seen before. Not the artificial lights of space stations, but real sunlight filtered through Earth's atmosphere. Bora stood beside him. She had decided to stay on Earth to help with the rebuilding. They had become more than friends over the past months. Maybe, with time, they would become more still. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "About the ship," Taiho said. "The Mujin. I bought it for 7 credits because nobody wanted it. Everyone thought it was junk. And now? Now I think maybe that is how the best things are found. Not by people looking for treasure, but by people who have nothing left to lose. People who are willing to take a chance on something everyone else has given up on." Yuna appeared beside them. She looked at the sunset, her holographic eyes reflecting the light. "You gave me a second chance," she said to Taiho. "You gave all of humanity a second chance. That is worth more than any treasure." Ships continued to land around them. Humans continued to walk on Earth. The future was uncertain, but it was their future now. Not controlled by the Concord. Not limited by lies. Taiho thought about the scared miner who had stood in that junkyard with 7 credits to his name. That man felt like a stranger now. So much had changed in such a short time, but one thing had not changed.